So the test is tomorrow, second period. If you want to stay a little bit later, that's fine. Make sure you have one study sheet, right? Not two or three. One study sheet. Can't be on your phone, right? It cannot be on your phone. Even if you say, but, I'll tell you I told you so, right? So one blue sheet. If you need an extra one, is right here. Yellow formula sheet. The Gpsr is on there. Okay, Gpsr is on there, and that's about it for home finance. So still bring it, and you need the most important one is the pink one. You're gonna need the pink tables. Okay, so I would say when you pack today, have that all together in your backpack, and make sure you get that for tomorrow. Okay. Another thing is, I think because we're getting so close, I need things to come, like the ship to dock. Okay. If you miss tomorrow, you are right in class on Monday. You have to tune me out. I'll start a new unit, and you'll be like, right. So if you miss tomorrow, Monday you write it in class, and I think I'll give you a 10% deduction as well on the test if you miss tomorrow, unless you made arrangements, right? So especially repeat offenders, I make a mark every time, right? So if you're writing it, if you're always pushing it off, you're always sick on test day, I think this is where it stops, right? So now you know. Of course, if you bring me a doctor's note and your parents send me a long email or whatever, of course I will probably bend, right? But most likely, right, it will stand. We just need to wrap things up, right? I don't want things, and it needs to be fair for everybody, right? I also want you to just make sure your study sheet is not just one unit. It should have all units on it. This test is going to have a bunch of bonus questions, all based on previous units. I think it's up to 5 bonus marks that you can score if you're ready for it. There will be I would say about 10 marks just on state things. How can you decrease your energy bill? What kind of maintenance can be done around the house? How can you lower the interest you've paid? Things like that. And so a lot of it is going to be contained in today's lesson. So I'm going to first talk about these things, and then I will give you an AC to kind of practice for the test, get ready for the test. And I think if I could give you from what I've seen is that you need to review property taxes. That's the one that most of you need some help on. Okay, you need to review that. You need to be okay with it. GDSR. The main thing is make sure everything is a monthly amount. Okay. Brian, would you mind turning off the lights for us, and we'll get going. Page 40. You really want the highlighter for this. I mean, if you have one, if not, then underline. But by now you know, right? So within today's lesson, there's probably quite a bit of marks that will appear on the test, and I will really look for that you pay attention, right? So when it comes to maintenance, right, there are 2 categories. There's preventative maintenance, and further down, I'm just gonna scroll down a little bit, way down here, about halfway, there's something called emergency repair. So when it comes to maintenance, there's 2 branches: preventative, emergency. Preventative obviously is intended to avoid an emergency repair. Okay, that's the idea. So you need to have a few examples of preventative maintenance around the house. And that's probably one of the main disadvantages of owning a home. It's the maintenance that comes with it. Not only does it cost you time, it costs you money. Because a lot of times, oh, I just run to Home Depot, $50 later, what I thought was a simple repair is $50 to $100, right? Everything is expensive. Okay, so you want to avoid major costs later on. If you paid attention yesterday, what did I talk about towards the end? Your AC unit outside, you should be rinsing that, cleaning it out, because it's laden, it has dust particles all around it, maybe even some, fine, I guess, sheddings from trees and stuff like that. It gets stuck in those vents and it prevents your AC unit from working properly. You can actually overwork if that motor has to run the whole time, because it will keep running until the temperature in the home reaches that level that you want. And so if that thing is running, because it just can't get there, you're going to blow that motor or something else in that AC unit. So you want to make sure you do that. Okay. So here are some examples, right? Check window wells and storm drains. You know what window wells are? You know, some basement windows have like a metal going around it. Some basement windows. It's just to prevent water from just gushing into your basement. Those are window wells. Check siding. Siding is the side of your home. Some of you have wooden siding, right? These planks that are like overlapped. Some of you have stucco, so check that. Check driveway and sidewalks for cracks. If your driveway is starting to crack, it means that the ground underneath it is starting to erode, and that's why it's sinking. So you can either, have you heard of Mudruckers, that company? They lift your concrete. So what they do is they drill, if this is your driveway, they drill lots of small holes and they inject it with foam, expanding foam. So they have little tubes, they fill that, and then they just start pumping, and your concrete will actually rise again back to the level it's supposed to be. It's a lot cheaper if you do that than actually replacing the whole driveway, which costs you tens of thousands of dollars doing a whole driveway from scratch. So if you just check for cracks and repair it right away, fill in underneath, it's preventative. Check fence and gates, right? If you have a broken post and your fence is doing this on a windy day, you better replace that post ASAP, because on a really windy day, it's going to bring the whole fence down or a whole section down, right? So check that. Check and trim trees, right? If there's a branch going over to your house or on your roof, you got to cut that off. So that's also preventative maintenance. Check drainage around the house. You want to make sure that it's sloped away. So if this is your home, right, and you notice that the soil is like sloped towards it, you want to backfill that so that if there's any water falling down, that it's going to run away from your home. Check your roof for damage. Clear any debris that's in the gutters. I go up once a year. I have a ladder, I go up. I would say be careful with that. Like if you're not sure, don't go right on the roof, just look around. But I check. That windy day we had a week ago, my brother's shingles came off. Some of them ripped right off. So you need to go up there and you will see that there's a shingle missing. You better fix that, right? Or else you can have some major damage in your attic. If water goes into your attic, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's just you're going to have mold, you're going to have lots of issues there. So all preventative maintenance. Check the chimney if you have one. Make sure it's clear. Any vents. A lot of you have vents on the side of your home. When somebody's cooking a meal, they turn on the fan, you see those flaps opening. Those need to be clear, right? The newer furnaces, they have those two pipes coming out the side. That needs to be clear. If there's a drift and it's blocking that, it can actually make the furnace shut down. It shuts down because it can't vent, right? Check the caulking and weather stripping on windows, doors, and so forth. I can't overemphasize this one. Mice can come into those cracks. Did you know that? They can climb up stucco if they want to. Yeah, they can climb up stucco. Never leave your windows open without a screen. You know how sometimes people remove the screen and they leave the window open in the fall especially? They can climb up. It's known that they climb up and jump. They get into your house through the windows, so you got to be careful, especially basement windows. And but caulking, right? You know what that is? Anybody? You know it's like a tube. You get like one of those tubes with a little nozzle, and you have like a little gun. And as you press the lever, it's gonna pump out like that paste. It's like a paste that seals things. So anything around your home where there's a crack, I have vents coming out sometimes over years. That caulking actually disintegrates, so you got to redo it. Okay, seal everything up nicely around the house. Maybe I'll take some pictures and show you next week. Check the water lines and water heater. Why would you want to check your water heater? You know where the water heater is? Usually in the basement. It's like a tank. If you see rust around the bottom, it's just a matter of time that that thing will start leaking. I'm telling you already. So you might want to consider replacing it. If you see rust, like quite a bit of rust, over time it just happens. That happened to me. It was just a small leak. I just went down. I just happened to notice a bit of a pool around my water heater, and I just replaced it right away. $500-600, not much. Maybe a little bit more if you go bigger, if it's a bigger unit. And you want to put a diaper on it, under it. You know what a diaper is? It's not it's not a baby diaper. No. It's if this is your tank, there's like a tray that you put underneath it, right? It's a tray and it has like a little hose attachment here, and you can like lead it to the drain in your home. So if this ever starts to leak, it will actually just drain out. So let's say you're working an 8-hour shift that happens at the beginning of your shift. This thing will keep running nonstop because there's water, there's a water line going into it. If there's a crack, it will just keep running. It can actually flood your basement. Okay, so putting I call them diapers. You can just say a tray. That's preventative maintenance. Check basement walls for cracks. If you see cracks or condensation is just like it's moist around the walls. You gotta dig out. You gotta next spring or during the summer, you dig around your home, you clean the wall, and you gotta kind of seal it. If you don't know how to do it, you gotta hire someone to do it, right? That for me would be preventative maintenance, because if you don't take care of that, you can have major flooding, and that is an emergency situation now, right? Everything in your basement is, and it probably trigger an insurance claim. Let's keep going. Emergency repairs. Basically, it's replacing, right? The key word is replacing. Replacing blank. It could be furnace. That would be an emergency, right? Roof. Furnace, roof, windows. Like if windows actually, let's say you don't trim the branches and they break off and smash your windows or walls, right? That would be an emergency repair. So that's like a major expense. Water tank, hot water tank. It's actually called hot water tank, not just a water tank, and so forth. Okay, so you got to watch out for that. Replacing the whole floor in the basement due to flooding. My friend that I talked to you about that just had the basement flooded, all of the carpet and with the installation, $14,000, just the carpet. Can you imagine that? And if you have a $25,000 claim, like the insurance is going to pay him $25,000, 14,000 is just the carpet, and never mind the drywall and the trim and the doors and the furniture that got damaged, right? It just adds up. So anyways, you have some here, and I think the key word is that you need to actually full on replace things, not just check for things, actually full on replacing. Okay, keep going. There it is again, right? Preventative avoids emergency repairs. I'm not gonna get you to highlight that because that's why is it important? I already told you that. So we're just gonna keep going here. So as you can tell, a lot of it I leave blank because it's like if time allows, I will talk more. And you're like, oh boy, talking more. I don't like that. So let's go to page 42. Energy efficiency. What's energy? Your energy bill is hydro, natural gas, and electricity. That's energy. Okay? So there's a category for energy. So anything that you would do to reduce your energy cost. And then there's heating itself. So you gotta pay attention to when I ask energy versus heating. It's not quite the same. There might be overlap, but not all the same. Here are some tips to follow to reduce the electricity consumption. I should say energy. Let's just, because I said this is energy, right? Electricity is energy, but this is, so I would say this. A small thing you can do is upgrade to LED light fixtures or bulbs. It's either one, but you can upgrade to LED fixtures. It costs a lot less money. Electricity wise, it uses a lot less, right? Use timers when possible. So a lot of you probably plug in your cars in the winter, right? Does it need to be plugged in the whole night? Is it necessary? You're not going to get up at 2 in the morning. Well, maybe some of you do. But in general, you're not going to get up at 2 in the morning, right? You usually just need it to turn on 2 hours before you're going to start your car. That heater uses significant amount of energy if you let it go all night, right? So use timers if possible. Use or install, I will say, install motion sensing switches. This is the greatest thing that I was able to do in my home. Because my kids are all over the house, especially when they were little. Every light in the basement was on. Like every time I went down there, like that was my full-time job, just going after them, turning off the lights, right? And so I just started to put these in some rooms that I know that I only wanted light, obviously, if somebody was in there, and they were always playing. So I put those on. As soon as they leave, 20 minutes after, lights are off. So you save energy that way. And this is just upgrade to high efficiency, right? And I'll put HD, right? You can do that if you want. High efficiency appliances. So fridge, stove, anything that's high efficiency, it's going to save you on energy costs, right? Energy Star approved, you can say that if you want Energy Star approved appliances or things like that. Yeah. Solar, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely install solar panels, right? Do you have? I'm just curious. Do you have solar? No. The only thing that the problem obviously in Manitoba is what? Snow, right? And the lack of sun. We don't have as much sun, so and it's very expensive to install. It's like 20 grand. So you gotta do the math on like how much am I gonna save per year to kind of pay it off in time, right? Because you're probably gonna have to take out. I would add it to my mortgage. Sorry? Yeah. Okay. And I know there was a guy on the radio that sells them in Canada, and he says it's getting cheaper and cheaper to install. So you know what? I'm actually gonna look into it. I'm all about saving money. Okay, that's a good one. Solar panels, yes. Heating. Did you know that you can reverse your meter and sell to the city? Like some states in the U.S. You know, you can only take so much energy. They have batteries, right? You charge them when they're full. It actually sells energy to the city. Like the city gets that energy from you, and it actually reverses your meter, right? That keeps track of how much energy you use. So that's actually pretty cool. Heating. So now we're just specifically talking about reducing heating costs. How can you reduce heating? Okay. And then I would say upgrade to high efficiency furnace. Okay, that is a key. Upgrade or replace your furnace with a high efficiency one. Upgrade, that's the key word. Upgrade insulation, attic, basement, and just the walls if possible. They can inject. I'm helping a family. I applied for a grant. They live in the North End, okay? New to Canada. The house had literally no insulation. Like, can you believe that? Like, well, how would you build? So they're gonna now drill in from the outside and inject insulation into the walls because ripping out the whole wall is expensive, right? So they just make small holes and they just pump in insulation. It's like a foam that expands. Pretty cool. But anyways, you need insulation. Upgrade windows. Windows. Install a smart thermostat. There are more, but I think you can talk about weather stripping, right? It's the little seal around the doors. Make sure that is all sealed up. If you hear a draft, you got to do something about it, right? Because that's cold air coming in. So that's that. I'm going to leave it at that because I have more. Even more. I'm just going to say something about this. Manitoba Hydro is really good at giving you loans for these improvements. And they just add it to your bill. So your bill is going to go up. But this is my reasoning. My old furnace used a lot more natural gas than my new one. So yes, you're going to pay a little bit extra for that new furnace, but I'm going to pay less on my energy bill. So overall, it kind of cancels out. And it's almost like you have a brand new furnace now without paying that much more. 43, go to 43. Let's do one math question here. Top of 43. There it is, that solar panel question, right? Jamira wants to upgrade to solar panels, which cost her approximately $15,000. Okay, so there's a cost, an immediate cost. She estimates that her electricity bill is $160 per month on average. Due to snow and cloudy days, she was told that she will need to purchase electricity from the city for 2 months every year. Okay. How long in years would it take for the savings, right, to pay for the solar panels? That is for me always ultimately like an electric car. I would only buy an electric car. I do care about the environment, but I also, my pocket is only so big, right? I would start considering it when the savings kind of pay for it within a reasonable time frame. Right now, it's not enough yet for me. Right? At Tesla, what are we talking about? 70 grand? You pay $200 a year on electricity to charge it. That's it, $200 a year. But my gas bill, I'm guessing, is 3 grand a year. Let's say 3 grand. That's pretty good. So I'm saving $2,800 a year. It would take me a long time to pay for that car if I only save $2,800 a year, right? So this is the reasoning here. Let me walk you through it. So how much are you savings in a year? How much would Jamira be saving in a year? There are 10 months, right? 10 months where she's saving the $160 a month. Would you agree with that? So 10 times, that would be $1,600 per year that she's saving every single year, because she only needs to purchase for two, she needs to purchase for two, but she's saving therefore 10 months worth of $160 per month. Okay. So how long would it take to pay it off? So this is what I do. 1 year saves you $1,600. Right? How many years, right? How many years would it take to save up 15 grand? And some of you have done it differently in your head already, I know, but this is a fail-safe way of doing it. 15 times 1 divided by 1,600, right? 15,000 times 1 divided by 1,600. And what are we at there? 9.375 years. I don't mind you just stating it like that. That's fine. So in about 10 years, you paid for the solar panels. Not bad. Not bad, I must say. Which you also need to remember, it needs to be facing south, right? If you have a solar panel. Yeah. I would leave it, I would keep it like that, or 9.38 years, right? If you want to go 2 decimals, I would not round to a whole year. It's okay to do it that way. So some of you straight away, you just went 15,000 divided by 1,600. That's fine. Just show me that work, and then you'll be fine. Buying or renting. Obviously, there's more than just money when it comes to buying versus renting, but money is a big reason, right? So I will skip to page 45. 45 has like a chart going on, and there's advantages and disadvantages for buying, which we talked about already. But then there are also advantages and disadvantages for renting. What are some advantages of renting? There's little or no maintenance. How about lower maintenance costs is way better. Sorry. Let me redo this one. Lower maintenance costs. Don't say no maintenance costs, because there are a few things like light bulbs and stuff like that. Yeah. Go ahead. it is easier to relocate, right? Easier to move. Not easy, but it's easier, right? You didn't sign for that 5-year mortgage, all of that. Anybody else? I'll ask you, Kimji. Okay, no land transfer tax. Yeah. No land transfer tax. I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, I would definitely give you that. In that, I would say lower startup costs. What do I mean by that? You do no large down payment. Right? No land transfer tax. No lawyer fees. Right? And the list goes on. So that's just an example. And also you don't need a large down payment. You don't need 10 grand to get an apartment. You only need a deposit, which is like half of the rent, right? So utilities may be included. So what do I mean by utilities? Anybody know? Kimji? Electricity, water, and sometimes cable or internet. It used to be landlines. I don't know. I don't think that's a thing anymore. But it's utilities are your everyday kind of needs: electricity, water, cable. And most apartments are heated with baseboard heaters, like electric heaters, like that. So that would cover your heating costs as well. What are some disadvantages? I'm biased, so I will say this right off. You don't build equity. You remember that word? You don't build any equity. Like if you're done, there's no money you're gonna get, right? You're not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna sell my apartment. Oh, wait a minute, I don't own it, right? So you don't build equity. You cannot renovate at will, right? So some minor renovations may be, but you always need the permission of the landlord. Payments increase steadily. Like it's almost on a yearly amount where the landlord can apply for an increase. So it's going up all the time, right? Versus may not have a yard. If you're renting a house, of course, right? Then you would have a yard, but most of the time we're talking apartments, so you may not have a yard. Less privacy. Oh my goodness, I remember neighbors, right? I rented for like 7 years, and I always had a neighbor above me, right? It's like walking with the heels like this, and you're trying to sleep, right? Or they're cranking up their music. So you have less privacy. You need to watch out what you're doing too, right? And so that would be a disadvantage, of course, for renting. Buying, you have that. Do you want me to give you some just here on this chart? Some advantages and disadvantages? Okay. I know you have that, but it's nice to have it all in one place, isn't it? Sorry, some of you are still copying. I'm gonna try to come back. Just get as much down as you can. There. Obviously, you build equity. So some advantages for owning is a disadvantage for renting, right? That's kind of nice. Um, you may renovate at will. So whenever you feel like it and you have the money, go ahead and tear down that wall, right? More privacy. This is key though. You need to be specific. If owning home, right? If it's a condo, like if I say, what's the advantage of owning a condo, then you need to be careful, right? The privacy part wouldn't go with you. Payments stay relatively the same. Stay the same. You don't have to worry about a sharp increase. Sometimes when the landlord does some upgrades, they charge you more. They increase it more. So you're like, oh, I was happy about the new parking lot, but now I need to pay more. Disadvantages: higher maintenance costs, right? A lot higher. Uh, Harder to move. You're locked in to a 5-year term, let's say. Also, you would have to put it up on the market. You would have to sell it. You have to find out when that new buyer is willing to take over that house. It could be that the new buyer doesn't want it until 3 months from now. All of those things. It makes it harder to relocate. You pay property taxes. Property tax is land transfer tax, right? Utilities, and the list goes on. And one more, higher startup cost. Right, lawyer, down, land transfer tax, etc. Don't put movers, because movers is you would pay for the movers regardless if you're moving into an apartment or a house. Okay. Interesting stuff. I know that at this age you may not care so much about this. I get it. I hope some of the things stay though. Okay, so while you're copying that, I am also going to, there's one more thing about GDSR that I just need to give you three tips on how to reduce your GDSR. Because if it's above 32, you're not going to be approved. So what can you do? What's within your control to qualify after all? You need to have at least 2, I would say, for a test or a quiz or what have you, final assessment. So don't think, oh, it wasn't on this test, why did we even bother? It's long, right? I think long term. So, okay, we need to go back to let me just find it. I was there earlier. It's wherever the yes, yeah, there it is. Page, or did I get rid of that? No, page 36. Bottom of 36. Bottom of page 36. If the GDSR is over 32%, but you really want the property in the price range, you have a few options. Increase down, I'll just say that, down payment, because it will lower the mortgage payment, right? The lower your mortgage payment, the better, more likely to qualify. Get a cosigner. It increases the total income. You can also increase amortization. Take longer to pay it off. It brings down your mortgage payment. It lowers mortgage payment. Don't say use less heat, because some students see that heat is part of the equation. How can you do that? You're about to buy the house. You can't tell the bank, oh, I promise I won't use the heat. Just I promise it'll be zero every month. Like, you can't do that, right? Oh, I promise I'll lower the property taxes. Come on, you don't have that much power. If you do, call me, right? I want your advice on how to do that. So you can't touch those, but you can increase your down payment, get a cosigner, or increase the amortization. Okay, what are we at here? I think I made a note as to what I needed to cover today for you to be in good shape. I think I want to talk about I'm going to give you an example on property taxes. You're going to have to write it down. So hold on. We're going to go to page 26. Go to page 26. So let's do this one together, and then I'll write one out for you to try. Page 26. A property has a portioned assessment of 120,000. That is key, right? That's the taxable portion. That's what you want. This is 45% of the original value of the property. So the property is worth 2 times or more, right? More than 2 times what this is. But this is what we want for property taxes. There's a 60 feet frontage, 60-foot frontage, let's say, and there's a mill rate of that for municipal taxes, and there's a lighting levy of $3.50 per foot. So I'm giving you, you don't need your pink sheet for this one. And there's the education taxes are already there. Already calculated. That's pretty nice for that. Some of you are multiplying that by that or something like that. It was not what was supposed to happen. And there's a tax credit of $7.50. Calculate the total taxes for the property. So remember, property tax, you would take your municipal plus your education plus any improvements minus any credits, and that would give you your total property taxes. Okay, so I'm gonna do the municipal first. Municipal, you need to take that mill rate, you need to divide that by 1,000, you need to multiply it by the portioned assessment, which is $120,000 in this case. The education is already given to me, so I'm not going to calculate that. I'm just going to write it down. It's already done. But the top I need to do this one. I don't know, some of you do divide it by 100 when it's supposed to be divided by 1,000, so you need to be careful. So this is 1561.20. Okay. 1561.20. Education is this. So those usually have a mill rate associated with them, except for education is already done. Okay, so don't worry about, I don't want to see somebody multiplying this by the mill rate. Okay. Education, it was a mill rate, right? Like, well, they don't give you an education mill rate. Instead, they just give you the dollar amount. So good for you, right? Like less work for you. Improvements. Watch for improvements. It's a 60 foot frontage. So you take that 60 feet and you multiply it. In this case, it's $3.50. If it's not given, you go to the chart. This may actually not be the same as the chart. Okay. You go with what I'm giving you. So that's $210. So municipal, education, improvements, now you're ready. Okay. The total would be 1561.20 plus 1903 plus 20 plus 210 minus 750. That's the credit. You need to make sure you subtract the credit. Total is $2,924.40. I would really want you to ace property taxes because it is very important. So if it says portion assessment, don't worry about the 45%. Remember, 45% of the house is taxed. So what do you think? You're good with property taxes? Yeah? Okay. In that case, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it at that. So, you know what? I think you can handle the rest of the class to gather your thoughts, put stuff on your study sheet, whatever you need to do. But just use it, right? Don't lose it. Use it for something productive. And